So, is Italy really worth visiting in 2026? If you've ever scrolled through Instagram or TikTok, you've probably seen the dreamy videos of colorful villages, fresh pasta, tiny cafes, and sunsets that honestly look too perfect to be real. But here's the question, does Italy actually live up to all the hype, or is it just another destination that's become a little overrated? Well, today we're going to find out. We're talking about the incredible places, the amazing food, the hidden surprises, the expensive mistakes to avoid, and whether Italy truly deserves a spot on your travel bucket list this year. So grab your passport, well, maybe not literally, and let's head to Italy. The first thing you'll notice when you arrive is that Italy doesn't feel like just one country. Every city has its own personality, its own food, its own traditions, and even its own pace of life. It's almost like visiting several different countries in one trip. Rome feels completely different from Venice. Venice feels nothing like Florence. And Naples? That's a whole different adventure. Let's start with Rome because, honestly, you can't visit Italy without stopping here. Rome is basically one giant open-air museum. Everywhere you look, there's something ancient. You could be walking to grab a coffee and suddenly find yourself standing in front of a building that's nearly 2,000 years old. It's kind of crazy when you stop and think about it. The Colosseum is, of course, the biggest attraction, and yes, it really is as impressive as everyone says. Pictures don't prepare you for the size of it. Standing there, it's hard not to imagine gladiators fighting in front of thousands of people all those centuries ago. But here's the fun part about Rome. Sometimes the best moments aren't the famous landmarks. They're the little streets you accidentally wander into. You might discover a tiny bakery selling warm pizza by the slice, a hidden fountain with almost nobody around, or a family-owned restaurant where the menu is only in Italian, which is usually a very good sign. Sometimes getting a little lost is actually the best part of visiting Rome. Of course, you also have to visit the Trevi Fountain. It's probably one of the most famous fountains in the world, and according to tradition, if you throw a coin over your shoulder into the water, it means you'll return to Rome one day. Is it true? Who knows, but millions of people do it every year anyway. Just one tip. If you want a good photo without hundreds of people behind you, wake up early. Trust me, your future self will thank you. Another place that completely blew me away was Vatican City. Even if you're not religious, it's impossible not to be impressed. St. Peter's Basilica is absolutely massive, and every wall, every ceiling, and every sculpture is covered in incredible detail. It's one of those places where you walk in and immediately look up because everything around you feels larger than life. If you're feeling adventurous, climb to the top of the dome. Yes, there are a lot of stairs, but the view over Rome is absolutely worth every single step. After Rome, it's time to head north to Florence, and the atmosphere changes completely. Rome is exciting and energetic, while Florence feels calm, elegant, and almost romantic. It's smaller, easier to explore on foot, and honestly one of the prettiest cities in Europe. The Duomo is impossible to miss with its giant red dome towering over the city, and if you climb to the top, you'll get one of the best views in all of Italy. Florence is also where food lovers become very, very happy. Fresh handmade pasta, creamy gelato, flaky pastries, and the famous Florentine steak are just the beginning. Honestly, one of the biggest dangers in Italy isn't getting lost, it's wanting to stop and eat every 20 minutes because everything smells incredible. Just outside Florence is Tuscany, and this is the Italy you've probably imagined your whole life. Rolling green hills, vineyards that stretch forever, little stone villages sitting on hilltops, winding roads lined with cypress trees. It honestly feels like someone turned a painting into real life. Whether you're driving through the countryside, visiting a winery, or simply enjoying the view with a coffee in your hand, Tuscany has a way of making you slow down and enjoy the moment. Then comes Venice, and there really isn't anywhere else like it on Earth. Imagine an entire city with no cars, no traffic lights, no buses. Just canals, boats, bridges, and narrow streets that seem to go on forever. The first time you step outside the train station and see the Grand Canal, it almost feels unreal. Sure, taking a gondola ride is the classic tourist experience, but honestly, one of the best things you can do in Venice is simply start walking without a map. You'll cross tiny bridges, discover quiet canals, and stumble upon little squares where it feels like time has completely stopped. Those unexpected moments are usually the ones you'll remember the most. And the funny thing is, we've only talked about a few places so far, yet every city already feels completely different. That's what makes Italy so special. Just when you think you've figured it out, the next destination surprises you all over again. Now, if you thought Italy couldn't get any more beautiful, just wait until you see the coastline, because this is where things start looking almost too perfect to be real. Let's start with the Amalfi Coast, one of the most famous places in the world, and honestly, once you see it, you'll understand why. Picture colorful houses stacked on dramatic cliffs, bright blue water stretching as far as you can see, little beaches hidden between the rocks, and winding roads with views that make you want to stop every 5 minutes just to take another picture. The most famous town here is Positano, and it's every bit as beautiful as social media makes it look. But here's something nobody warns you about: you're going to be climbing a lot of stairs. Seriously, if you visit Positano, prepare for a workout. The streets go up, down, and then somehow even more up. But every time you turn around, the view somehow gets even better, so it's completely worth it. One thing you absolutely have to try while you're here is fresh lemon products, because the Amalfi Coast is famous for its giant lemons. Whether it's homemade lemonade, lemon cake, lemon sorbet, or the famous limoncello, everything tastes incredibly fresh. Just a little farther along the coast is the town of Ravello, and while it's not as famous as Positano, many travelers actually end up loving it even more. It's quieter, less crowded, and the views from up there are absolutely unbelievable. Standing on a terrace overlooking the Mediterranean Sea honestly feels like looking at a desktop wallpaper that somehow came to life. It's peaceful, relaxing, and one of those places where you could spend hours doing absolutely nothing except enjoying the view. Now let's head over to Cinque Terre, and if you've never heard of it before, get ready, because this might become your new dream destination. Cinque Terre is made up of 5 colorful villages sitting on cliffs right beside the sea, and every single one has its own personality. Some have tiny beaches where people swim all day, others have fishing boats floating in small harbors, and all of them are connected by hiking trails and trains. One of the coolest things about visiting is simply traveling from village to village, because every stop feels different. And yes, the colorful houses really do look exactly like they do in the pictures. In fact, they might even look better in real life. If you enjoy hiking, the trails between the villages offer some of the most beautiful coastal views in Europe. But don't worry if hiking isn't your thing, because the train makes it incredibly easy to visit all 5 villages in one day. Next up is Milan, and this city feels like a completely different world compared to everything we've seen so far. While places like Rome and Florence are all about history, Milan is modern, stylish, and full of energy. This is Italy's fashion capital, so don't be surprised if everyone seems effortlessly well dressed. Even grabbing a coffee here somehow feels fashionable. But Milan isn't just about shopping. The Duomo di Milano is one of the most incredible cathedrals you'll ever see. It's covered with thousands of detailed statues, and when you stand in front of it, it's almost impossible to believe that people built something this beautiful hundreds of years ago. If you get the chance, definitely go up onto the rooftop, because walking among the cathedral's towers while looking across the city is an experience you'll never forget. And finally, let's talk about one of Italy's biggest hidden treasures, Lake Como. If you're looking for a place to completely relax after exploring busy cities, this is it. Surrounded by mountains, elegant villas, charming little towns, and crystal clear water, Lake Como almost feels too peaceful to be real. You can take a ferry between beautiful villages like Bellagio and Varenna, enjoy lunch beside the lake, or simply sit with a coffee and admire the scenery. It's no surprise that so many celebrities have homes here, but the great thing is you don't need a celebrity budget to enjoy it. Just walking through the villages and taking in the views is already an unforgettable experience. By now, you've probably noticed something about Italy. Every place feels like a completely different vacation. One day you're exploring ancient Roman ruins, the next you're hiking along colorful cliffs, then you're wandering through fashion-filled streets before ending the day beside a peaceful mountain lake. Very few countries offer this much variety in such a relatively small area, and that's exactly why so many people keep coming back again and again. But as amazing as Italy is, it's definitely not perfect. Before you book your trip, there are still a few important things you should know, including the biggest mistakes tourists make, how expensive Italy really is, and whether visiting in 2026 is actually worth the money. So let's talk about that next. Now let's answer one of the biggest questions people have before booking a trip to Italy: is it expensive? Well, the answer is, it depends. Italy can absolutely be expensive if you stay in luxury hotels, eat in tourist restaurants 3 times a day, and visit during the middle of summer. But here's the good news: you can also travel through Italy without completely emptying your wallet. One of the easiest ways to save money is by using Italy's incredible train system. Instead of renting a car, paying for gas, tolls, and expensive parking, you can jump on a high-speed train and travel from Rome to Florence in about an hour and a half, or from Florence to Venice in just a couple of hours. The trains are fast, comfortable, and honestly part of the adventure. Just make sure you book your tickets early because prices usually go up the closer you get to your travel date. Now let's talk about the food, because let's be honest, it's probably one of the biggest reasons people visit Italy in the first place. And here's something that surprises almost everyone: Italian food in Italy is completely different from what many people are used to back home. The pizza is simpler, the pasta is fresher, the ingredients taste better, and every region has its own specialties. Naples is famous for pizza, Bologna is known for fresh pasta, Sicily has incredible desserts, and Tuscany is home to one of the best steaks you'll ever eat. Honestly, you could spend an entire vacation just eating your way across the country. But here's a little travel hack that can save you both money and disappointment. Try to avoid restaurants that sit directly beside major tourist attractions. They usually charge higher prices, and the food isn't always the best. Instead, walk just 5 or 10 minutes away from the busiest areas. That's where you'll often find small family-owned restaurants filled with locals, and those are usually the places serving the most authentic meals. If you see a menu in 5 different languages with giant pictures of every dish, keep walking. Chances are, there's a much better restaurant just around the corner. Another thing you'll quickly notice is that Italians don't rush their meals. Dinner isn't something you finish in 20 minutes. People sit, talk, laugh, order another course, and simply enjoy the moment. At first it might feel like the service is slow, but it's actually the opposite. Nobody is trying to rush you out the door. In Italy, eating is an experience, not just something you do because you're hungry. Now let's talk about safety, because it's something every traveler thinks about. Overall, Italy is a very safe country to visit, and millions of tourists travel there every year without any problems. That being said, just like any popular destination, you should stay aware of your surroundings. Pickpockets sometimes target busy places like train stations, famous squares, and crowded attractions. The good news is they're usually easy to avoid. Keep your phone and wallet in secure pockets, wear a crossbody bag or anti-theft backpack, and don't leave your belongings unattended. A little common sense goes a long way. Something else many travelers don't expect is how much walking you'll do. Seriously, if you're planning a trip to Italy, bring comfortable shoes. You can easily walk 15,000 to 20,000 steps every single day without even realizing it. Between exploring historic neighborhoods, climbing viewpoints, crossing bridges, and wandering through tiny streets, your feet are going to get a workout. You'll thank yourself later if you leave the uncomfortable shoes at home. And here's one final tip before we answer the big question. don't try to see everything in one trip. It's tempting to visit 10 cities in 10 days, but honestly, you'll end up spending more time on trains than actually enjoying Italy. Pick a few destinations, slow down, sit in a local cafe, order a gelato, watch the world go by, and enjoy the experience. Italy isn't a country that's meant to be rushed. Some of the best memories come from the moments you didn't even plan, like finding a hidden piazza, listening to a street musician, or discovering the best pasta of your life in a tiny restaurant you almost walked past. So, after everything we've seen, from the incredible history and world-famous landmarks to the food, the coastlines, the mountains, and the unforgettable cities, is Italy really worth visiting in 2026? Let's wrap everything up. So, after everything we've talked about, is Italy really worth visiting in 2026? My answer is a huge yes. Is it crowded? Sometimes. Can it be expensive? Absolutely. Will you probably have to wait in line for some of the biggest attractions? Definitely. But here's the thing, none of that is what you'll remember when you get home. What you'll remember is eating the best pasta of your life at a tiny restaurant you found by accident. You'll remember watching the sunset over the canals in Venice, standing in front of the Colosseum wondering how something so incredible was built thousands of years ago, getting completely lost in Florence and somehow ending up in the prettiest little square you've ever seen, or sitting on the Amalfi Coast with a lemon gelato while looking out at water so blue it almost doesn't seem real. Those are the moments that make Italy unforgettable. One thing I love about Italy is that every single day feels different. One morning you could be exploring ancient ruins, that afternoon you're eating fresh pizza in a local restaurant, and by sunset you're watching the sky turn orange over a beautiful coastline. Very few countries offer that kind of variety. Whether you're into history, beaches, mountains, art, food, shopping, or simply wandering through beautiful streets, Italy somehow has it all. If you're planning your first trip, my biggest advice is simple: don't rush it. You don't need to see every city in one vacation. Pick a few places, slow down, and actually enjoy them. Sit in a cafe a little longer than you planned. Try the restaurant with no English menu. Wake up early to see famous places before the crowds arrive. Talk to locals if you get the chance. And don't be afraid to take a random street just to see where it goes. Some of the best travel memories happen when absolutely nothing goes according to plan. Another thing you'll probably notice is that Italy has a way of making you appreciate the little things. A perfect espresso in the morning. Fresh bread from a neighborhood bakery. Church bells echoing through a quiet street. Watching people laugh together in a piazza late at night. It's not just about visiting famous landmarks, it's about experiencing a completely different way of life. That's something no photo or video can truly capture. So, if you've been wondering whether Italy deserves a spot on your travel bucket list in 2026, I'd say stop wondering and start planning. It's one of those destinations that lives up to the hype, and in many ways, it actually exceeds it. Chances are, before your trip is even over, you'll already be thinking about coming back to explore another region because one visit is never enough. And that's a wrap. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button because it really helps the channel grow. If you love travel, hidden gems, and discovering the most incredible places around the world, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a new adventure. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, keep exploring, keep traveling, and I'll see you in the next video.